The following program, The Lightning Strike, is sponsored by Mohammed Fahim, and to the extent applicable, their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of NewsWeb Radio Company or its management.
Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Fahim, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, Chicago, and good morning to the world now. We have got a lot of people listening to us from around the country and from different countries now. I'm getting some good messages, and thank you all for listening in. You're tuned in to the Lightning Strike on Chicago's Progressive Talk radio station, WCPT AM 820. With me in the studios today again is Ken DeLuke.
Howdy, folks.
And also Tyree Pipkins.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, and John Arena is actually going to a Bears game today, so John is probably going to be calling in and talking with us. We have a power-packed show today, folks. Going to be quite a few lightning bolts going out, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to call in. The number to call in is 773-763-9278. Again, the number is 773-763-9278. This morning, actually, we wanted to talk about the pharmacy benefit managers and their role in how we in America are paying the highest possible rate for medications. It seems that average Americans are paying about $1,200 more per year compared to any other country, and the role of pharmacy benefit managers, the middlemen. We wanted to talk about that. We also wanted to talk about the high cost that the city of Chicago is paying to defend lawsuits against the city. And this is just to defend. Chuck Gowdy of Channel 7 had a great expose on that last week as to how the city is literally spending upwards of $60 million every year just defending lawsuits that have been filed. So we wanted to talk about all of those things this morning, and then suddenly this happened. The United Nations had a resolution to call for a ceasefire in the war between Israel and Gaza, and not just Palestine, just that region of Gaza. And the United States vetoed the resolution. And there has been a lot of talk going on, and so we're going to be starting to talk about that today. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, feel free to call in. Remember, folks, this is our country. We call it a government of the people, for the people, by the people. And this show is of the people, by the people, for the people. I wanted to start off again with a statement by Senator Bernie Sanders on the floor of the House the other day. So let's see what Bernie said about what's happening in the war in the Middle East. And we'll get your comments in. Again, feel free to call in. The number 773-763-9278. And if we can hear what Senator Bernie Sanders has to say.
Madam President, I listened carefully to what Senator Scott and others have said about the barbarous act committed by Hamas against innocent men, women, and children, the mowing down by machine guns of young people who were doing nothing more than attending a dance, the murder of babies. This is an horrific act precipitating a worldwide crisis. And the United States of America, all of us, condemn this act. And in my view, the State of Israel has the absolute right to defend itself against Hamas and terrorism in general. No debate on that. But what I ask my colleagues to also consider is that while we fully appreciate the horrific attack by Hamas against innocent people of Israel, I ask you also to understand that right now there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of innocent men, women, and children in Gaza who have lost their homes. They've been thrown out of their homes. They have no food, they have no water, they have no fuel. And I remind my colleagues that half of those people are children. Half of the people in Gaza are children. So yes, we are united in doing everything we can to destroy Hamas and their terrorism. But I implore you, do not take Hamas's inhumanity and brutality and terrorism against children who are 3 or 5 years old. I ask you to think for a moment. Think about it. I have a state, represent the state of Vermont, 630,000 people. 1 million people, most of them are poor. They got nothing to begin with. Before this whole business, Gaza was one of the most desperately poor places in the world. Youth unemployment, 75%. Many of their people depended on the UN for basic survival. So what I'm asking people to take a look at is to understand what our country is about. And what our country must not be involved in is making the horrific and miserable situation in Gaza even worse. Many of the families, and again, these are people thrown out of their homes. They don't know where they're going. They don't know who will accept them. They don't know if they're ever going back to their homes. And they're poor to begin with. And do we really want to deny those people aid from the UN and other agencies to feed the children, to provide water for them? Is that really what we are about? So, of course, it goes without saying that we have got to do everything that we can to make sure that not one nickel goes to the murderous Hamas organization. But at the same time, we have got to stand with the innocent women and children in Palestine who are suffering today and are facing an almost unprecedented modern humanitarian disaster. So, Madam President, today, in the midst of this crisis,
Okay, folks, that was Senator Bernie Sanders on the floor of the House last week talking about what is happening in the Middle East and what we as a country have an obligation from a humanitarian point of view. Ken, you wanted to have a comment on that?
Yeah, since this has happened since October 7th, I wasn't really sure on what side, if any, that I would be on. And you have to understand that when Israel was attacked, it was a horrific event. But I feel really empathy for the Palestinian people right now, because when Israel decided to attack, they told everybody in that piece of land, go north. We're going to be attacking the south. Now they're moving and attacking the north, and there is no place for anyone left to go, which they're not pursuing this endeavor of trying to rid the scourge of Hamas in an appropriate manner at this point. I am fully aware that something needs to be done, but I don't agree at all on where the Israeli people or government is taking this.
A lot of concern, folks. We have been receiving messages like crazy to bring up this issue. And again, if you have any comments, please feel free to call in. Like I said, the Lightning Strike is a show of the people, for the people, by the people. We are not funded by any corporations over here. And the number to call in is 773-763-9232. 773-763-9278 or 773-763-WCPT. And coming back to the UN resolution recently asking for a ceasefire, I want to see what the United Nations chief had to say, because the U.S. was the only country that vetoed it, because we have the veto power. And here is the president of the United Nations talking about the resolution and why we needed this resolution.
Excellencies, the situation in the Middle East is growing more dire by the hour. The war in Gaza is raging and risks spiraling throughout the region. Divisions are splintering societies, tensions threaten to boil over. At a crucial moment like this, it is vital to be clear on principles, starting with the fundamental principle of respecting and protecting civilians. I have condemned unequivocally the horrifying and unprecedented 7 October acts of terror by Hamas in Israel. Nothing can justify the deliberate killing, injuring and kidnapping of civilians or the launching of rockets against civilian targets. All hostages must be treated humanely and released immediately and without conditions. And I respectfully note the presence among us of members of their families. Excellencies, it is important to also recognize the attacks by Hamas did not happen in a vacuum. The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation. They have seen their land steadily devoured by settlements and plagued by violence, their economy stifled, their people displaced, and their homes demolished. Their hopes for a political solution to their plight have been vanishing. But the grievances of the Palestinian people cannot justify the appalling attacks by Hamas, and those appalling attacks cannot justify the collective punishment of the Palestinian people. Excellencies, even war has rules. We must demand that all parties uphold and respect their obligations under international humanitarian law, take constant care in the conduct of military operations to spare civilians, and respect and protect hospitals, and respect the inviolability of UN facilities which today are sheltering more than 600,000 Palestinians. The relentless bombardment of Gaza by Israeli forces, the level of civilian casualties, and the wholesale destruction of neighborhoods continue to mount and are deeply alarming. I mourn and honor dozens of UN colleagues working for UNRWA. Sadly, at least 35 and counting, killed in the bombardment of Gaza over the last 2 weeks. I owe to their families my condemnation of these and many other similar killings. The protection of civilians is paramount in any armed conflict. Protecting civilians can never mean using them as human shields. Protecting civilians does not mean ordering more than 1 million people to evacuate to the south, where there is no shelter, no food, no water, no medicine, and no fuel, and then continuing to bomb the south itself. I am deeply concerned about the clear violations of international humanitarian law that we are witnessing in Gaza. Let me be clear. No part.
Okay, folks, so that was the United Nations chief speaking recently. And if you have any questions, comments, again, feel free to call in 773-763-9278. My name is Mohammed Fahim. With me in the studio today, Ken DeLuke and Tidy Pipkins. Again, you're listening to the Lightning Strike on WCPT 820 AM. The number to call in, 773-763-9278. We've got Amin calling in. Amin, good morning and thank you for calling in.
Good morning, and peace be with you. You know, I have two things I would like to say. First of all, I'm always hearing about Israel has a right to defend itself. But isn't Israel there in most of Palestine a military occupation? So shouldn't Palestinians have a right to defend themselves? I never hear anyone say they have a right to defend themselves after a 70-plus year military occupation. Why is it no one ever talks about that?
Well, you have a wonderful point over there. Again, folks, we want you to call in and give us your thoughts on what is happening and how we as a country are responding to the war in the Middle East. Again, the number to call in, 773-763-9278. Amin, thank you very much. And when you call in, please keep your comments short. Go ahead, Amin.
I have one other point, is that we are actually fooling ourselves when we think that there's some type of moral factor behind this, because if we look at this whole thing from the historical perspective, not stopping at October 7th, but going all the way back to when the Zionists first decided that they wanted Palestine for their homeland, we would know, and we have historical proof to show it, that the whole agenda from the get-go is to eliminate the Palestinian people. So the genocide is not, something that people are thinking or some type of conspiracy theory. And the United States got involved into it because the Zionists tricked them to get into World War I, and the promise that was so they could fulfill their promise to give the Zionists Palestine. And one last thing I'm going to say, they say this has been going back thousands of years. But again, if you go through history, you'll find that in Palestine, Muslims, Jews, Christians, and even atheists were living in peace. The problem did not start until the Western powers decided to give Palestine to the Zionists. That's where the problem is. And America has a hand in that. America has blood on its hands for that.
Well, Amin, thank you so much for your comments. And again, folks, you are free to call in with your comments. We are not going to be censoring anyone's views on the show. So it's your show. Feel free to call in and chime in with your comments on this. Again, this is something that is so worrying at this moment now. Where is this thing going to end? That is my question, okay? And Tyree, what is your take on this?
Well, my take is it's just very heartbreaking and tragic that basically things are getting a lot worse. We're trying to stop terrorism and stop a war, but yet going after children and women is just insane. Like, civilians have no part in this. If you're trying to save your country or try to promote peace, then you need to do that against the enemies that are actually attacking versus trying to kidnap a bunch of innocent people thinking they're terrorists when they have nothing to do with this. It's just sad and tragic that it's getting worse by the day.
Well, the defense that the Zionists are putting up is, we don't know who who are the Hamas, and they are sheltering behind women and children. So we are going to go, like we were discussing before the show started. Right. Let's say that the south side of Chicago has a gang problem, and the city of Chicago, or the United States government says, we're going to get every single gang member. Okay, and we're going to go bomb every building on the south side of Chicago because these gang members are hiding behind the people that are living on the south side.
Yeah.
And they busted down to rubble to get 50 gang members. Yeah. I mean, does it make any sense, folks? So we have to hold our government also accountable, okay? And again, I want your input on this. We will be coming right back after a quick break, and you're listening to the Lightning Strike on Chicago's progressive talk radio station, WCPT 820 AM.
Business looking for the right talent, or a job seeker searching for your dream career? Look no further than the Center for Strategic Solutions, your workforce solutions expert. Our experienced team at the Center for Strategic Solutions is dedicated to connecting employers with top-tier talent and helping job seekers find opportunities that truly align with their goals. We're more than just consultants. We're your partners in success. Ready to take your workforce to the next level or land that ideal job? Contact the Center for Strategic Solutions today at 1-847-306-9274 or www.cfssus.com. the Center for Strategic Solutions, empowering employers and job seekers for success in the heart of Chicago.
Good morning, folks, and welcome back to the Lightning Strike with my co-host in the studio today, Ken DeLuke, and our intern, Tidy Pipkins. This is Mohammed Fahim. The numbers to call in, 773-763-9278. And we are going to go back and follow up on what was happening with Eric's case, who has been in prison for something which is so minor. He's been in prison for over 16, 17 years now. And Michelle Alfano has been following up on Eric's case, and I want to bring Michelle back in. Michelle, good morning. You are on the air.
Good morning, Mohammed. Thank you so much for your vision. So I'm here to tell you an update. So Eric did, since the end of October, he has done 28 days in solitary confinement. And, of course, he's out of confinement now, but suffering very extreme PTSD because he's afraid they're going to come and get him. This is especially true on Friday afternoons. Mm-hmm. The tactic is they lock you Friday, and then they all go home for the weekend, and no one can even find you until Monday. He's experiencing that, and when they put you in solitary, something is going on at Newton Correctional called white torture. And white torture is where they put these glaring industrial fluorescent lights on you for 24 hours a day, and you're all surrounded by these white walls. So it's this glaring effect that produces headaches, blurred vision, very painful to your eyes. And, of course, this is recognized around the world as a psychological torture and a violation of human rights. It's a very brutal way of punishing someone. And what is the punishment? It appears that the Department of Corrections in Iowa has the intent to deter Eric's protected right of freedom of speech because, as you know, Mohammed, Eric called you, and he had a phone call with you preparing for us to speak. And because of that, you've now been blocked. They are not allowing Eric any phone calls with any journalist. And I argue to you that that's a violation of Eric's freedom of speech because he has the right to speak about his own case.
Yeah, that is something.
So we're fighting.
I'm glad you brought that up. That is something, folks, that we want to focus on in the next episode of the Lightning Strike. We're going to have an attorney actually do some research, come and talk about what are the First Amendment rights of people who have been incarcerated. I mean, are those rights still available to them or not? Can they speak up or not? And how can we as a society address these issues to where people actually come out as productive citizens from these so-called, quote-unquote, correctional facilities? Are they really correctional facilities, or are these facilities being used to torture people and make a living for some of the prison industrial complex, which, by the way, I mean, we have been saying this, that the average cost, Tyree, is about $80 billion per year that we are spending keeping people incarcerated. That is crazy. And we're going to follow up also, Ken, with the impact that this incarceration has not just on the person who is incarcerated, but the extended family that they leave outside. What is the impact on them?
Right. In fact, we're going to have on the air shortly a lady whose grandson is currently incarcerated for reasons, and the time he's serving is completely inappropriate for what his infraction was, but we're not going to go into that so much. And also, the gentleman's 10-year-old or 9-year-old son is going to be speaking to us about the hell that this guy's been gone through. Now, we just mentioned that Eric has been in solitary on and off for like, what, she say 28 days?
28 days?
28.
Yeah.
28 days.
Now, this other guy who's his grandmother and his son are going to speak with us shortly. He's been in solitary for over 15 months. I couldn't even imagine what kind of hell that he's gone through. So we'd like to bring on board. I'm not going to mention their names because I don't want any blowback to go.
Yeah, because I think, they are listening to us out there, okay, in Iowa. And they are trying to get back on people who want to speak up. We'll take another quick break, and we'll come back with the lady and her grandson. And Michelle, if you don't mind, please stay online because we want to put this thing, and throw some more lightning on this.
Absolutely.
Hey folks, did you know there's a program in Illinois that if you qualify for it, would allow you to get solar installed in your home at no out-of-pocket cost? The benefit to you would be a reduction of your electric bill, possibly as high as 30 to 50%, and more importantly, you would take out the uncertainty of almost guaranteed future price increases imposed from your electric company. If you'd like to see if you can qualify for this program, call Ken DeLuke at 312-617-8979. That's 312-617-8979. Help us save the environment and change that electric bill burden.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks, and welcome back to the Lightning Strike. Mohammed Fahim here in the studios with Ken DeLuke and Tyree Pipkins. And let us get back and talk with this lady who's calling in, whose son has been incarcerated in the prison system in Iowa, which is crazy. And it is not just happening in Iowa, folks. It is happening all over the country, including in our city of Chicago and IDOC and all of that. And we're going to be reaching out to some of the people who are in prison over here also and see what our prison system is doing in Illinois. And good morning, Michelle, if you can please introduce your guest.
Yes, so this is a grandmother that I met at visiting at Newton Correctional, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the impact of her son being incarcerated in Iowa at Newton Correctional and how that has impacted not only her as a grandma, but her grandsons. So, Grandma, take it away.
Good morning.
First of all, let me tell you thank you very much for putting this information to light to the public.
You're very welcome.
This is a subject that most people they're in prison, throw away the key, they need to spend life there. Until it happens to you, you're involved in the system and you see these horrific outcomes. How it's affected me is it's my son that's incarcerated, and he has been through horrible, horrible things, but it's my grandchildren. At first, they were allowed to visit their dad, and he's sole custody of them, and they let them visit, and then when he got to Newton, they took away everything, and they even took away the ability for him to have pictures of his children. And it's been about 3 years, and what they're doing is they're causing this new group of children that's called silent victims. Mm-hmm. And they take them away from the ability to see their fathers, their mothers. It happens in all the prisons that I know of. And these children are having horrible outcomes. It's affecting them with their sleep, with their schooling, with education, with life. When these kids come from small towns, it's even a little worse because you have some parents that think they know the case and what's happened, and they're talking to their children about things that children shouldn't know about. Mm-hmm. And you have children that are mentally abusive to the children at school. And so it impacts, I'm a registered nurse with a master's degree. I spent my whole life helping people. I worked multiple states, had a multi-state license. I have worked with all sorts of areas of nursing with a perfect record. And for it to happen in my own home is so devastating. Had to take an early retirement, had to use every penny I had saved for retirement. I couldn't work anymore to keep these children stable. And it's just horrible. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm. And do you mind if you could have your grandson come and say a few words as to what he's going through? And how old is he?
Sure. He's 9 years old, and actually he went before the DOC board.
Okay.
And he spoke, and he's on YouTube on a DOC meeting. And it had been affecting him so badly. He's like, Grandma, I need a lawyer. Grandma, somebody needs to help me and my brother. Well, his older brother is now 12 years old, and he's so angry. And these kids have been in therapy, and he's so angry and devastated of what has happened to them that he can't even talk on the air because he knows he will be inappropriate and angry, and that's not a good thing. But
no, well, we definitely want to hear from him if he could, because this is, folks, here's the point, okay? If we are going to be holding someone accountable for what they have done against the norms of society, yeah, hold them accountable. But at the same time now, you have to realize that you are punishing entire families for no fault of theirs. I mean, come on. In this world, in today's, in this century, why are we going back, hundreds of years and torturing people like this?
Grandma, and I'm going to call you Grandma because I don't want to mention your name on air. Am I right in understanding that your son has not seen your grandson in 3 years?
Correct.
That's crazy.
Correct. No. And, well, here, he would like to talk to you.
Okay.
So,
good morning.
My dad first got moved to the Allison, Iowa prison or jail, and then he got moved to the one in
another one.
Another one. And then he got moved to Fort Dodge, and then he got moved to Newton. We got to see him only 2 times.
Well, you got to see him in Allison.
In Allison, and I can't think of the other one.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't really know why they won't let us see him. We can't talk to him on the phone. We can't do that. Me and Angel have been in therapy ever since he went to jail. So about 4 years.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, okay? The last time that you were with your dad, what kind of dad is he? Is he a loving dad?
Yeah, he wouldn't hurt any of us ever.
Okay, and so when you are going to school now, do your classmates and others come up and bring this thing up that, hey, your dad is in prison or something? Do they harass you?
No, sometimes. But...
Okay, and how's Grandma dealing with you now? Do you love your grandma?
Yeah,
and
a lot.
Does your grandma love you? That is the question.
Yeah.
Okay, so Grandma, what are you planning for Christmas for your grandson today?
Well, today I am actually going to Newton because I have a schedule.
Okay.
And they, I want to thank the Angel Tree Prison Program also because yesterday they went to the Angel Tree Prison Program and they got to, have pizza and sing songs over in Mason City. And if that wasn't for them doing a few things, these kids would really be in trouble. But It's a bad time of year for them because that's when their father was arrested, and they watched this happen. And there's a lot of rough memories for these children on the way it happened.
Okay.
And
Sounds good. I hope and wish that, you guys get to have wonderful holidays in spite of the challenges that your family is facing. Thank you again so much for calling in. Michelle, thank you for bringing in, grandma and grandson to talk about these issues, folks. And Ken has a couple of points on this.
Michelle, I know last week you were able to give out some phone numbers that people can call in reference to Eric's situation and hopefully on this situation. Could you repeat those numbers for us so if somebody wants to?
So last week I asked people to call the governor of Iowa, and many people did, and that was so helpful, as well as the attorney general. So I'm going to again give you two phone numbers to call this week. So get a pen out, and these phone calls help us so much. So this week, I'm asking people to call State Senator Ken Rosenboom. His number is 641-295-6551. He is the state senator who oversees the Jasper County district where Newton Correctional is and where this white torture is going on. The other state representative of that district is John Dunwell. His number is 515-281-5383. And I think when listeners say, well, why should I care? Well, for one thing, your tax dollars, our tax dollars, are paying for this horrible torture and horrible treatment. For example, at Newton Correctional, 2-man cells that were built for 2 men are housing 3 men. So we have a very bad overcrowding problem, and I would guess that it's a fire hazard. And this is causing people high levels of stress that never goes down because it's inescapable stress. Another reason to care is that most of these people who are incarcerated return to society. They don't get life sentences. They get 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but they will be returning citizens. So
and when they come back out into society, they will be so badly scarred that it'll take them years of therapy, and which they cannot afford to become normal again.
That's exactly correct. And you're assuming that they could afford therapy. But if someone comes out with certain charges, nobody will rent to them. Nobody will give them a job. They are shunned and demonized in society. So getting therapy is the last thing on their list. They're trying to find housing. So it's a very serious situation that really does ultimately impact all of us. And I would echo the words of John Lennon. All we need is a little bit of love here. I would encourage people to think about when we look at these returning citizens, instead of always focusing on what's wrong with them and really looking down on them, maybe it would be nice to say, well, what's right about them? Let's focus on something positive.
On that thought, Michelle, thank you so much for calling in. And folks, we will continue to follow these stories about this convictions and what can we do. And recently, also in Chicago, Channel 7 had a big expose on the massive impact of wrongful conviction of legal cases in Chicago and how much the city has been paying to defend itself against wrongful convictions. And there's a database that is tracking 23 years of wrongful conviction lawsuits, and it's showing that this crisis has already cost Chicago taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. Civil rights attorneys question why the city continues to fight the cases of those who have been declared factually innocent, not even guilty. The Truth, Hope, and Justice Initiative is hammering its message now to the city of Chicago and Mayor Brandon Johnson to deal with what it calls as an emergency now. Chicago, they say, is the wrongful conviction capital of America. We're going to look at this data, understand the data, make recommendations, working with key stakeholders with the city, and then we're going to take the same approach and go to municipalities and cities across the country. That is what the Truth, Hope, and Justice Initiative is talking about. And if you have any questions, concerns, feel free to call in. The number to call in is 773-763-9278. You are tuned in to the Lightning Strike on Chicago's progressive talk radio station, WCPT AM 820. With me in the studios today, Ken DeLuke and Tidy Pipkins. John Arena is going out to visit and watch the Bears game today.
The Bears are going all the way to the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, man. Yeah, you wish. Okay.
A lot better than last season.
And you wish, and I wish. We'll take a quick break and come back on the other side of the break with the Lightning Strike.
Or a job seeker searching for your dream career, look no further than the Center for Strategic Solutions, your workforce solutions expert. Our experienced team at the Center for Strategic Solutions is dedicated to connecting employers with top-tier talent and helping job seekers find opportunities that truly align with their goals. We're more than just consultants, we're your partners in success. Ready to take your workforce to the next level or land that ideal job? Contact the Center for Strategic Solutions today at 1-847-306-9274 or www.cfssus.com. The Center for Strategic Solutions, empowering employers and job seekers for success in the heart of Chicago.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks, and welcome back to the Lightning Strike. This show is not funded by any corporates or corporations or advertisers at this point, folks. So if you would like to support the Lightning Strike and keep this thing going on the air with us, please visit the Lightning Strike website, which is tlschicago.com. Again, the number is, the address is tlschicago.com, and you'll see a little button up there saying donate. So see tlschicago.com/donate, and you can make a contribution, a little donation to keep the show on the air.
Please do that. I need a new pair of shoes.
Okay, and I need a new pair of no, I don't need shoes, man. I come here with wearing flip-flops. Okay, but jokes aside, this would allow us to keep the show independent, folks, and your support is vital. And I would like to thank quite a few listeners so far who have sent in small contributions. You don't have to send us $1 million, okay? We're not looking for $1 million to keep the show, even though, I wanted to give a new Lamborghini as a gift to Dylan over here, who manages the boards. But he's showing me his thumb like, yeah, go for it, man. Okay. The folks, again, the idea is that we want to keep it a show for the people, of the people, by the people, quite simply like that, and throw some light out there on social inequities that is happening, and also appreciate some of the good things. So we have the Person of the Week segment that we do every week, and this week we're supposed to have one of the aldermen, Lamont Robinson, to come in and talk about what he's doing in the city of Chicago. Unfortunately, I think on Sunday mornings these aldermen are either sleeping or they are in church. So he's unable to call in. We'll see if we can record something from the aldermen for future shows and play it. Especially, like I said, some of these people definitely on Sunday mornings they're sleeping or they're in church. Okay, and again, if you want to call in, the number is 773-763-9278. Ken, I also wanted to throw some light today on why the United States is paying the highest amount for prescription drugs of any country in the world?
Well, it's pretty simple. They have a powerful lobby that funds politicians. You got to give credit to Joe Biden when he came up with that, the IRA Act, and part of that was to make insulin, which typically would cost thousands and thousands of dollars per year, down to, what was it, $37 a year? For people who need insulin.
$30 dollars now.
Yeah, if we can get that same type of program involved with the drug companies, they're not going to starve. I mean, just whatever it costs them, and they say, oh, it's because we have to do the research. Well, the research doesn't involve paying the CEOs of those companies hundreds of millions of dollars. So I'm sure there's some room for trimming that budget.
And most of the research, folks, is actually paid for by our tax dollars. Okay, so these guys come in and say, "Oh, it costs us $1 billion to get this drug to the market." No, a lot of it is funded by taxpayers also. The role of the pharmacy benefit managers is also coming into focus now. These are middlemen who are negotiating with the pharmaceutical companies and working with the insurance companies to come up with better pricing. Speaking of that, December 15th is when you have to go into healthcare.gov. December 15th is the deadline to select a healthcare plan also. And they make it so darn confusing, Ken. It is amazing. Medicare enrollment just ended on December 7th, and you had everybody and their uncle advertising Medicare plans. Now, we have Medicare. As an American, I have paid into the system, and once I receive, once I reach 65 years, then I am eligible to collect and get some health benefits from Medicare. Terry, you're a young man. You got a ways to go for this. Okay. Ken, you are coming up on Medicare shortly.
Yep, in April.
Okay. And then we have these companies advertising like crazy. Okay, United Health recently has been pulled up for false advertising. Okay, just happened like yesterday. And you keep on hearing this. Anytime that, I go on YouTube or something, this ad pops up that, hey, you want to today is the last day. This is how the ad is set up. Today is the last day to claim your benefit for free groceries. You can collect up to $3,600 per year for free groceries that you can go to any grocery store. Now, there is a twist to that. Nothing is free in this world. Remember this. And these are the middlemen now who are trying to sell these Medicare plans. And then you have got the Medicare soup out there, okay? Medicare Part A, Part B, Part D, and then the original Medicare, the Medicare Advantage plans. Why can't we make it simple, folks? Ken, why do you think all of this is happening? Is it just because of the lobbies?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the insurance industry there, if you'll notice any skyscrapers in any city in the country, they all have insurance names attached to them. It's and I used to sell insurance, so I understand, but they're super powerful, and people who want the money, they bow to their higher gods, as it were, and the people's voices need to be heard. So write a congressman, write somebody to express your views if it's important to you, because that's the only way it's going to change.
Well, that's the only way it's going to change, folks. Get involved. We have an election coming up. Make sure that you research the issues, you research the candidates. And there is a lot of things going out there, especially people, beating down on the Democratic Party. Think about it for a minute, folks. Most of the benefits that we see, including the 5-day work week, okay, the 40 hours per week, these are all benefits that have come in because of unions. Okay, we've got to support unions in the country, folks. Unions are what has kept this country on an even keel for a long time now. Just imagine if we did not have union support for our workers in this country, where would we be today? And again, we have to pay attention to the candidates. A lot of people are beating down on Biden. Oh, he's old and he's not doing a good job. Yeah, what is the alternative?
Compared to what? The 3 most famous words ever. Could you imagine if somebody else was in the White House now, where we would be? I mean, it's really, really scary.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough position for Biden to be in, because he is beholden to certain people also and certain groups. Let's not, brush it under the rug. Every politician that is out there is beholden to certain extent to a lobby. Okay, but we as the people have the power to go in and make a difference. Folks, the average voter turnout in our country is about 20 to 25%. That means that we are letting the tail wag the dog over here. Keep on listening to the Lightning Strike every Sunday morning. Go to our website also. We'll be updating more information on the website as the elections start rolling in, so that you can get to know about candidates and the issues. And if you can go and vote and elect the right person to represent you, things will change. There is no such thing as, this lobby and that lobby putting in millions of dollars and supporting this candidate and that candidate. At the end of the day, it comes down to how many votes are actually being cast. And if you have not registered as a voter, please go ahead and register. If you need help, again, let us know. We'll be more than happy to connect you with the local registering authorities in your county, or you can go to the State Board of Elections and you can register over there. There are numerous ways of registering to vote, and there are numerous ways of actually voting. You can vote by mail, you can vote early. There should be no excuse for not registering and getting your vote out there. That is the most fundamental right that is given to us by our Constitution. Let us make sure that we use that right. You're tuned in to the Lightning Strike on Chicago's Progressive Talk radio station. If you would like to support us, please visit www.tlschicago.com/donate and send us a small contribution. You can contribute anything from $5 on to $5 million, but the $5 million will go to Dylan's account, so we don't want to make that happen.
After my shoes.
And for Ken's shoes. Thank you very much for listening in. Sunday mornings is always a pleasure to be with you. Tyree, thank you for joining us, and Ken, thank you. And John, I hope that you are going to have fun at the Bears game. Signing off today, folks. We'll see you next Sunday morning, 9 to 10 on WCPT 820 AM.
The preceding program